All right, hello everybody. Welcome back to Wireheads. This is a Cyberpunk Red podcast most of the time, except when we have things we want to talk about from other RPGs. Today is one of those days. As always, my name is Emmerron. I am one of the two hosts of this fantastic show. Pro GM, content creator. Very soon I'll resume my role of the game master that runs Neon Inferno Monday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific. I should have already reclaimed that role this Monday. It did not happen. I am sad about it, just like all of you are, probably more so, because it's something I'm very, very excited to get back to. But this Monday, we will be starting off again. This Monday, January the 26th. Just need to double check that. Of course, joining me, as always, is my co-host.
Hello, everybody. I'm Diamond Dust.
Is dying.
Sorry. All right. Hello, everybody. I am Diamond Dust. I am also a professional GM. I am a content creator as well. I also love Cyberpunk Red. Been a fan of the game ever since I heard about it from my dear friend. By the way, Embers. Thank you so much. Shout out to you. Also, yes, Fish. I did get your question. That being said, I am also looking to get back into running Cyberpunk Red here next month, where we will be doing a mercenary campaign, and we're going to go knock some heads off some really bad people. I'm looking forward to it. That being said, Emmerron.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be a player. I'm going to be a player in that game, which is very exciting. So before we get into my topic for the week, those of you who are on Twitch or Spotify, I'm sorry you're going to get beat over the head with this a couple times. But if you're watching my half of the episode today first, we are now officially sponsored by Talsorian Games. We have a link. It is talsorianstore.com/wireheads. It is a link to their Shopify store that they've had forever. You go to the Talsorian Games website and click on the store link. That is the thing you are being directed to. If you go there normally and you did not use our link, that is fine. When you go to checkout, you're going to use promo code Wireheads. You get 10% off. We get 10% kickback. We get supported. You get a discount. Everyone wins. And this is a thing you can use as many times as you buy products from Talsorian. So if you want to buy Shadowscar when the core rulebook comes out later this year, if you want to buy Night City 2045 when that comes out later this year, if you want to buy Fossilized Violence when that comes out later this year, as we've been led to believe very soon TM, when all those come out, our code will work on all of them. It is not limited to Cyberpunk. So if you are watching this on YouTube, I mean, you should get Cyberpunk, but also get the other games. All of them are great. I promise I've played all of them. So if you're watching this on YouTube or on Spotify, the link is going to be down in the description for the show or for this episode on YouTube. If you are here on Twitch, we've been posting it in chat. I posted it not that long ago. So feel free to follow the link if you have books you've been holding off buying and you want to show love for our show. That is a great way you can support us. With that said, let's get into the topic. So for my half of today's episode, I am taking this, stealing it blatantly from a new RPG that none of you probably have heard about because I've been pretty quiet and normal about it, called Daggerheart. So Daggerheart, for those of you who are not aware of it, and I think should become aware of it, any of you who have ever played D&D or Pathfinder or any kind of fantasy systems that are analogous to those, Daggerheart is kind of the latest entry in a list of analogs for a system like that. It is built to tell heroic fantasy. It is built to be very narrative forward. It is class-based character creation. The difference between it and other RPGs that I have played in that genre, though, is that it places a lot of power in the player's hands, and it focuses very heavily on narrative and far less heavily on the mechanics. So those of you who really like crunch, you might not like this as much for the simple reason that mechanical density, while it has its place, it is definitely not the forefront of the game in my experience. It's been much more focused on the storytelling. And as such, I've learned many, many cool things that, because that game does them a particular way, I have kind of started integrating those into how I run Cyberpunk. Because I've always said, long before I ever played Daggerheart, that is my firmly held belief that GM and players create the game and the table that they're at together. It is not my responsibility as the GM to create the game for the players, nor is it the players' responsibility to be in charge the entire time. I, the GM, get to take the lead. I am not just a computer running the background simulation. So there's a give and a take all the time. And I think one of those aspects of the game where that load and that burden is not evenly shared in a lot of tables between the players and the GM is when we get to describing people or environments or narrative beats. There's a lot that I feel is looked at as like the GM's responsibility in that regard. And that is partially true. Like, the GM needs to at least have the major plot beats in their head for, like, we start here, we hit the midpoint here, we end here, right? And they need to be able to come up with the narrative structure that ties front to end, right? While this, what we're going to talk about, carves away some of the extemporaneous stuff, some of that extra thing that lies on top, some of the, the set dressing, the way that a area is characterized, perhaps, when you as a GM maybe don't have a great idea how you want to characterize it, and you're interested in getting your players' feedback on how to read into the environment and how they feel about it, how their characters feel about it. This is a really great technique, what we're going to discuss today, to get that going very early and very effectively. So to start with, I guess, I'm going to ask Diamond, even though, she's played Daggerheart at my table a couple times. She has, as far as I'm aware, yet to run it. So, Diamond, as far as how you run your games right now, when you need to develop set dressing for a scene, in terms of like, what temperature is it in the room? What kind of light is in the room? Like what smells or other kinds of things? All those sensory things that you cultivate, maybe not so much to like forward a narrative, but more to like tell a little bit about that environment and give it a character. How do you go through that for yourself, or how do you even, I suppose, justify to yourself whether or not the environment that you are experiencing with your players in that moment deserves that level of nuance and characterization? How do you navigate that currently?
So, I suppose for starts, my players love to roll the weather. Like, right out the gate, like when it comes to like anything with environmental there, my players like to roll the weather. They like to see what the day is going to look like. So I always leave that to them to, use Night City weather. And it's just like, all right, guys, what does it look like? What is it going to smell like out there today? And when I do, like things that might be a little, you need to play a song for the weather, like Welcome to
Night Vale, yeah. Welcome to Night Vale is something fun to riff off of from time to time, for sure.
One of the other things that I also like to include, and usually this is something I will do with my players, is like, talk about home. All right, what like the neighborhood that you're in, or like like spot you're living, like you're part of the cargo village. Like, what does your cargo container look like? What about your neighbors? How do you feel about your neighbors? And I get some interesting descriptions, especially from two people that happen to live like really like the way they described it is they literally live on the same row of cargo stacks. And it's just like, oh yeah, my neighbors are great. Like, you know, it's a little dusty and whatnot. And then one of the others like, no, it's fucking awful. The guy that, you know, the fixer was just talking about, this guy proceeds to just sit out there and just smoke glass every day. You could smell it when the wind picks up because I'm downwind of it. I hate it here. Like, I love it when I get multiple descriptions of a location.
Yeah.
Because it really paints. And like, I really like it when they paint, like, the description of like intimate locations for them. Like, what like their favorite hangout. Like, I kind of got descriptions for like, you know, bars or setting or like established areas. But like, what about your booth? What about your booth in that bar? You guys choose that to be your booth. And it's like one person described. Well, it's gotten really used to me sitting there because I sit there a lot. There's a nice little divot there, and I'm like, okay,
yeah,
all right.
Like perfectly in the shape of my ass. Yeah, like that's
It's like it's made for me.
Yeah.
And other times it's just like, okay, so you have a local dive bar you go to. What's all in this local dive bar? It's like a little bitty spot that maybe can hold, you know, 50, 60 people at any given time. And, you know, I get, you know, descriptions of either like, you know, this place tries to keep it like real nice, neat, clean, or you wouldn't take someone you like to this place. I just go here because the booze is cheap. And I like that when players talk about that first to really really introduce them into talking about their environment.
Yeah. So the way that I do it is actually in a very structured way. Since kind of learning this technique, this has really helped. So when your players go somewhere, or if they meet someone, you can do this very easily too. Basically, whenever you want to give character to a person, a place, or to an environment, what I start by doing essentially is let's cover the 5 senses, right? So you walk into this space. And I might have like a very starter idea of like the way I want to define this. You walk into this bar, like we're talking about like a dive bar, right? Walk into the bar. You know, this place has been here for quite a while. You could see signs of aging everywhere. Netrunner, explain to me what's like one of the clearest signs that this place has been here for the last 20 years. And then hear what they say. And so we now play this fun little game of collaborative storytelling about the place. So then we'll be like, okay, yeah. So maybe the Netrunner's answer to this would be something like, oh, well, you could still see they've got a trophy hanging up on the wall from that time they won Best Bar in Haywood 15 years ago. And it still has its place of pride and it's like well polished. All right, cool. So continuing in, you kind of see the bar attracts a particular type of crowd, and it's kind of stands out a little bit to the other bars in the area. Tech, what is the thing that draws your eye the most, or draws your senses the most to the unique aspect of the people that are in the bar? And note that it's moderately crowded. Like you guys could probably find a table, but it's pretty full. And so then they can give an example of like, okay, well, like everyone here is wearing, you know, Night City Nukes merch. You know, like this is a Nukes bar specifically. And it's very kind of a standout in that regard. And so we might go, okay, cool. So we've characterized this as a dive bar that's been here for the last 20 years. It takes pride in the fact that it was once best in its field. Maybe it hasn't met that former glory in a while, but everyone here, it's a sports bar. So you start building a picture in your mind, and you've only given them the very first part of that, is a dive bar that has been here for 20 years. And so you can keep going around and doing this though. And everyone at the party everyone in the party that's entering the space should each contribute an idea. so that by the end of this, you'll know kind of what the temperature of the lighting is, what kind of drinks are at the bar, what kinds of, clientele are there. Are they agreeable? Are they not? And this really lets you build a lot with like a almost like no time investment. And then you also cut out later when you do stuff like this, GM, is X here? Because now the players have had a hand in building this out. So there may still be some questions if they're looking for like a very specific person, perhaps, in the bar. But the really general ones get carved out because if the players want it to be there, they get the opportunity to like inject that and to contribute that to their reading of the scene, essentially. So it's very fun to do that, especially for areas that the party are all experiencing for the first time. But to your point, Diamond, like if you were to have a player who maybe is a regular at this bar and none of the other party members are, they might be the first one I call on to be like, all right, so you've been coming here for a really long time. What specifically is it about this bar that has you so loyal to it that you'd come back every day or like every week at a minimum for the last like 5 years that you've been operating on this side of the city? And obviously incorporating their life path or whatever to like dress that question and then let them go and give their reasoning and like let it stand as truth. Don't try to contradict them. Like obviously you can veto something if it's a little too outlandish. Like if they say, well, Adam Smasher always comes here. Adam Smasher probably does not always come there.
Adam Smasher is not real. What are you talking about?
Shayton would beg to differ. But with that in mind, you can, with very little wielding of that sort of veto power, give your players a huge hand and then personal investment by extension to that in the areas that they visit. And suddenly every one of them is going to have a reason to be a teller of the story, right? And obviously this can extend out quite a ways. I would say the line beyond which to stop it is anything that significantly impacts security or enemy stats or challenges that you want to lay in front of them. Like, don't let them lay out a master key for themselves to solve the next challenge if they have a fairly good idea of what that might be. Do not let them solve a master key in there. Or if they try to and they think they're just going to get one over on you, make them work for it. Because that gets... If you get enough of a metagamer at a table, things like this, giving them this kind of power, can get out of hand really, really fast. And we don't obviously want that, because that just... It's never interesting when everything goes right. That's why we roll dice, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that it goes wrong every now and then. But yeah. So far, Diamond, do you have any kind of comments or feedback about anything that I've presented so far? Because I know I'm kind of doing this as a lecture more than as a conversation.
I also have included players on, all right, guys, this is your first time outside the combat zone. You guys are wandering up into the Glen, and you notice that there is a stark night and day difference. What seem, and I give a very baseline description of just like the Glen. It is very much government center. It is very much, there are there's city council here, politicos, that kind of lot. What sticks out to you guys here amongst there? And they talk about mentioning like how clean the buildings are, or also the how there is the smell of fried scop in this area doesn't quite have that same familiar smell as if you were in like one of the food markets of like Little China or the old combat zone. And also covering like just how different these people look. That's some of the stuff that I have them do when they go into strange areas. That it's like first time in a different place.
Yeah, no, fair. Absolutely. So let's talk about when we get to people, how we use this, because I think, Diamond, you've actually already given a pretty good example here. So this would be used for less consequential NPCs. So this is where every GM, I think, again, has had this experience at least once at their table, where they're like, all right, so you all walk into the bar, and one of the players, either out of genuine curiosity, this does happen sincerely out of genuine curiosity sometimes, but in my experience, it happens almost a little more often where the player is aiming to be a little bit obnoxious and throw you off your game. And they're just looking to throw you as the GM and see how well you respond to improv, right? And so they'll throw you the question, yeah, so GM, what's the bartender look like? What's their name? And I will tell you, if I've not named an NPC, if I've not named an NPC or described them, it is because they are a face in the crowd in a lot of ways, right? They are not important. They're not specifically like someone that I really think you're going to have a deep, meaningful conversation or interaction with. But as I have seen also, if you give that character a personality and a name, there are times where players will latch onto that. And they, especially the ones who are asking this more out of a good faith, like sincerity, and less out of a, I'm going to be obnoxious and throw the GM off of their game. If they are doing this in good faith, when you give them the answer and they do interact and they maybe find something they really dig about that character takes on a life of their own. This is where you get those D&D stories of players like glomming on to the one town crier or the vagabond in the town square, and suddenly that's like, this is our party's mascot. This is an important person and we're going to protect them with our lives, and if anyone kills them, I will first kill everybody else in this room and then myself. This is how you start that development, right? So what I like to do for these kinds of NPCs is start again like I would with a room. Baseline description, right? Okay, so the bartender is like early 30s, female, and clearly has quite a bit of life under her skin. You could see, wrinkles that have begun to develop around her eyes, dark circles under those eyes where clearly sleep deprivation is start to sunk in. But you notice something else about her as well that stands out to you. What is it? And just turn the question back around it.
Oh, is this Glades? Are we talking about Glades right now?
I'm not specifically talking about Glades, no, actually, because I don't know that I'd ever interacted with Glades at your table.
Oh, you've never... Alright, because actually Glades is the result of this, actually.
Yeah. But this is how you build a character that people care about, is you now give them, like, you notice something else unique about her, though, that stands out from all the rest of these things. What is it? And that starts making them think now. It's like, all right, you want to be an asshole and put me on the spot, I'm going to do the same thing right back. And if they are asking in good faith, they're going to take this challenge with pride. They're going to want to give you an answer, and a good one. So they'll think about it for a second, then they'll give you something back. Like, she has this really strange pattern in her tech hair that I have never seen before. And it's like, there you go. Now suddenly, we've got Weave, the bartender of this bar, who is like this standout person. And we can continue down that same thing like we did with the environment. We can start talking about, what's a unique little tick or mannerism you're noticing about Weave as she wanders behind the bar and pours drinks, and this develops. You you can chew the fat for a long time this way and get a really deep, dense, and fulfilling world out of it. And you're doing the same amount of work you ever did as the GM. Half of this is learning to sit back and accept your player's word as truth, which is uncomfortable for some GMs. They don't like relinquishing control like that. I promise you, it'll be way less stressful to you if you do. But yeah, Diamond, please. I know you wanted to say something there.
Well, like in the development of Glades, so mind you, this was my home group that Glades had developed from, and I think she's a fantastic example for this. In our Pathfinder game, when Glades first showed up, she was this much older Dragonborn, or what are they called in Daggerheart? Is it Drakengard or
no?
Draken?
Drakengard is a Yoko Taro game. No, they are. I swear to God, why is it leaving my head? Give me.
I'm so sorry. Get me on the spot with that.
No, it's okay. Because I think they are called Draconis or something like that. I'm literally gonna open Daggerheart.
I think it is Draconans.
Let me see. Ancestry. Dracona. That's what they are called.
Dracona.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So she's this older black Dragonborn / Dracona, and they described her as just really showing like signs of she is a war vet, and that has always stuck with Glades even when she's been converted over to Cyberpunk. She built like a fridge, and one of our people is like, does she have a smoker's voice? Oh yeah, honey, I do.
Oh yeah,
and ever since then, like, everybody loves Glades. Everybody loves this big military mechanic, because in Cyberpunk her backstory went from she went from just part of the infantry of the times of Pathfinder to she was a Militech mechanic. Yeah, I know how to work on AVs, I know how to work on tanks, and trust me, I know what I'm doing. Spits right in the glass. Like, people are just like, yes. And Glades had taken on a personality of her own that, like, people love, because it wasn't even my idea for Glades. People love that she's a bartender for the Slammer. She is the only person with meat, or like no linear frame, no FBC. She is the only non-Borg in the bar, but that is because she knows how to roll with them.
Fair.
And like she had really developed into this bartender that, like, not only has been like the hey, wake the fuck up, you got too much chrome in you, you're gonna kill someone, and also is just like, oh, sweetie, that sounds like a real bad time, let mama pour you a drink. Like, and she's kind of just stuck. So that is a way that players can actually make an imprint on your world. And it doesn't even have to be anything big. Glades has no impact on any plots whatsoever. But she's always stuck. Like, do you have anybody like that just kind of is a constant in your worlds that was developed that way?
So for Cyberpunk, not yet. I wouldn't say that I've got any that are like really tightly defined, and this chat can rouse my memory and be like, no, Emmerron, this character, they've definitely got that cred.
I mean, Tick-Tick's pretty good.
Tick-Tick is something, he wasn't really developed the way that we've just described. His was more of an iterative thing, because he was a tech that I used in one of my home games one time before I started streaming and all that. And I'm like, oh yeah, having an explosives tech named Tick-Tick would just be a fun idea, right? And my wife is playing in this campaign. I believe she was playing a fixer. And so here's the thing, Burning Hot Red. Tick Tick is both an explosives and a drug tech. He does both of them. So,
oh my god!
he is one part tweaker, one part grenade salesman. Truly a character among characters. It's really fun when I get to bring Tick Tick in. Because like, he'll come up and be like, all right guys, so I got the best fucking new thing, all right? We're talking incendiaries, but they're implosive, right? So none of that shit flying everywhere. None of that, like, gas tank goes flying out the fucking window on fire shit. No, we're talking, you throw that thing into the fucking car, it stays in the fucking car, right? Fucking inferno in there, broil your enemies alive, but shit, Shoom. Fuck, it's so good. Also, while we're on the subject of good shit, just brewed some fresh glass this morning, hitting like a fucking freight train on Adderall. Beautiful shit. And it's like, this is the kind of stuff that I will do with Tick Tick. But Tick Tick was very iterative. He started off as like a random vendor my party went to buy explosives one time. I was feeling particularly like inspired in the moment, and this is one of those times where I'll give the vendor a personality. And then my players immediately started wanting every time to go back
Eagle,
and visit Tick Tick.
I mean, Eagle and Flash kind of really helped like bring Tick Tick into like that dynamic, like, you know.
Well, yeah, when they were like,
attack.
oh, we need a spot to pick up drugs and we need a spot to buy explosives, I'm like, I have just the guy from my backlog to pull forward. And then, yeah, getting to characterize the guy and what he is, how he operates. And they got to see him in all kinds of different phases because he does do glass. He does do synth coke. He's even done a little lace at times, and they've walked in on him being like, oh, Choom. Fuck. Holy shit. This lace is on another fucking level. Oh my god, I can't even feel my fucking eyeballs. It's incredible. And so like, this is the sort of stuff that I have so much fun playing characters like that though. When a character has personality, it's just fun to play them. But no, he was not developed collaboratively though. That was very, or at least not in the way I'm describing. Like, he gained extra character because of interactions I had with the party, but that was much more organic than to ask for almost like a Mad Lib spread of traits to invoke onto.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, I like when players develop NPCs like beyond their base, just like, you know, stuff you might notice. I've had someone just feel like, yeah, that suit is definitely not off the rack. That like, why do they have that suit? There's no reason they should have that suit, and it's just like it suddenly made this certain like low level fixer real scary, real fast. Like, why do you have that? Where did you get that?
Yeah, like what the hell are you doing in a dive like this if that's the kind of suit you're wearing? And the fact that no one is bothering them with that suit that they are wearing. Because it's like, it says there's like 5 different statements that makes about who they are from the word go, and that was the only detail about them. Which is very fun.
I was just like, all right, Fixer, what do you know about this suit then? And it's like, that's a bulletproof suit, isn't it? And I'm like, it sure is. Like, okay, guys, we're leaving.
Yeah,
I'm not getting John Wick today.
They learn how to spot John Doe. Yeah, no, John Doe is one I brought in that kind of way before, where he's kind of sitting in the back. Though I have played him more as a womanizer before, where he's like sitting across the table from 2 women. And this is largely because of how he's been characterized for me by
he really seems
Phantom.
like it.
Oh yeah, no, like it's not a shocking thing to think that and be like, yeah, John Doe would be a bit of a womanizer. Absolutely. But it's one of those things where like Evan, Phantom, For those of you, he's been on, the channel I think once or twice before, talking about things. I know I've been on his for a short one time that popped the fuck off about CMK. This characterization of him came from Phantom talking about like, oh yeah, so like you walk into the bar and you can see John Doe, who you've agreed to meet here, sitting by the back of the bar, two very young looking co-eds across the table from him, probably half his age, wearing NCU, gear on their, they got the logo on their shirt. They've got, one of them has it embossed on their backpack that's sitting next to them at the table. And it very much becomes this like, okay. And so we all walk over, of course, and embarrass the fuck out of him. And he was like, God damn it, why'd you guys do that? Like, I had a real shot. Yeah, but we're here to talk work, John, and that ain't work as much as you might want it to be. And I promise you, you ain't that slick. Like, it was just like, we were giving him shit, but we got him to do the job we needed him to do. Which was in our party's pursuit of lowball. That was what that turned into. And we chased him out to the under construction mass driver out on Mora Rock, where we fought over like a scaffolding with him, which was very fun. So yeah, that's the kind of stuff like where I will carry on characterizations of characters. Rux Royale's another really good one where like he's been characterized more as this like very suave businessman type, almost sort of Winston-esque from John Wick, and the way he's portrayed in Black Chrome read to me as far less serious, far more goofy than the image of him that I had in my mind. So I've very rarely characterized him the way that Black Chrome would characterize him, and been much more Winston-esque about it.
Yeah, I like on that note, I played him as two sides of a coin. Like, he's got his salesman side where he's a little more goofy, a little more relaxed. But then, there is a serious side, very suave. Like, you gotta have two faces.
Always. I mean, that's kind of half of the way you stay safe on the street, right? Is that you play your hand close to your chest, especially when you're that kind of powerful.
I mean, in fact, I've had a rocker boy describe, like, one of her friends as, like, yeah, she's great, but she could be a real two-faced bitch sometimes. And I'm like, thank you. I'm glad I have that information. Yeah. And it's just like, okay, but, Tech, what do you notice about the rocker boy's friends? Like, the clothing really screams poser. And it's just like, nice. I love that, especially if like you have your other players like make commentary about the friends of other players, just like, yeah, this is what I think of the guy. I don't like him.
Right.
I don't know what he sees in the guy. I don't like him.
And that's equally valid, I would say. It's definitely one of those things where like giving players the ability to like you just said, kind of form an opinion of or a description of someone else that the party's interacting with is always extremely fun, just because of like you said, the kind of out-of-pocket comments you get about like why do they feel or think this person is like worth the time. I don't see it at all.
Have you had your players ever talk environmentals? Because I like it when my players talk environmentals. So like, sight, sound, smell. By the way, there's some great examples of this over in Cyberpunk Red single player mode.
Yeah, we do that occasionally, because that's where I was like, when you're entering a location, I usually go by 5 senses, right? Something you can see, something you can feel, something you can hear, something you can smell, and something you can, let me see, what was that? I know it was 4 of them. So it was something you can hear, see, feel, touch, and see. So it might be like
hear, feel, think.
I mean, and you might, the 6th would be to ask them what their thoughts on the attitude of the bar, what they feel as they enter the bar. Feeling like the gut feeling is something that isn't covered by the other senses usually.
I was only joking, but wow, okay.
That is, there is a 6. What do you feel about this? Because one, it is, for those of you who have not had this sage advice beaten over your head yet, if you're new to GMing, never tell someone what they feel or think, unless that feeling or thought is very intrusive. You are supposed to be their subconscious if you are explaining a thought, like you are the intrusive thought. They should be allowed to form their feelings about a subject or environment or whatever, right? So when you provide that sort of opportunity to them and just say, as you enter the place, what are your thoughts and feelings about the atmosphere in here? You will get, because you might be able to assume pretty easily about some of your characters how they might respond to certain types of environments, right? Like if they're walking into an overcrowded dive bar and they're usually reclusive, they're probably like, oh, I'm very overwhelmed, I'm overstimulated. Like I have a tech in one of my games right now that's kind of his default state as they enter some of these very social environments, because that's not his strong suit. But it's still offer them that opportunity to tell you, what do you think or feel about the place you're in? Because that is as important, if not, I would almost say it's more important, because it now recharacterizes every other sensory thing, where if you feel welcomed in a place, the smells, even if they're a little strange, might feel familiar, right? They speak to safety. The light doesn't feel harsh, it feels warm and welcoming. The crowd there is not intimidating, they're welcoming, they're friendly. You know, the temperature in the room is comfortable, if maybe a little warm, but you know, no matter, it's probably only warm because everyone's excited about the game on TV. You know, and all of that changes the moment the player says, I don't like it here. Something feels off. Suddenly those welcoming smiles are sinister conspirators. Suddenly that warm lighting becomes a little more cold and a little more like you can hear the hum of it almost in your head. The game is a pretense and a distraction. Something is going on in the background. It shifts everything. Everything gets carried over to a different way of thinking about it. So yeah, that matters. That matters very, very deeply. And I love doing that to players where it's like, what do you think and feel about this? Because like two players might have very different thoughts and feelings about the room. So one might be seeing it and be paranoid and be like, I want to roll a human perception check on the crowd here. I need to know that I'm safe. While the other one is like, you know, like, yeah, I'm going to walk up to the bartender. Like, yeah, weave, pour me a beer. Like, and just like, they're the natural. They're the regular that has brought the party here. And maybe, and this is where you as the GM get to decide what is true, right? Is you get to determine, is there a reason to be afraid? That the person who is blindly trusting of this place after being here for so long is missing in their familiarity with it? Or is the other side of this equation being too careful to the point of being paranoid? And they're giving themselves anxiety about something that there is nothing to be anxious about. It's just a sports bar. These are friendly people, which is rare in Night City, sure, but like, this is just one of those spots where it's okay. Take a load off, set your gun down. It's fine. Like, that happens. So it's very interesting to watch your players justify and contextualize why they think or feel a certain way. And like, you can kind of let that debate ring across the table and see which side of it you like more. Or if you want to be really fair, quote unquote, about it, that's where you use something like single player modes oracles to like help you determine how likely is it that we've overlooked something sinister here, right? You could ask it a question and get a likelihood and just like start interpreting that as you will. But I think that's the reason why things like single player mode are such an effective tool, is they get your GM brain thinking about all those little things that you otherwise wouldn't. And the things you would normally stall out on, you can just roll some dice now for yourself and learn what is the truth of this, right? Or at the very least, where do I begin interpreting the truth of this? Do I interpret it on the side of the paranoid, antisocial chum that we got on one end? Or do I interpret it on the regular who's very comfortable and at home here? And we get to just kind of play that as we will. But yeah, all of that matters. All of that matters.
I've seen that come up before, and players just I don't know if I'm feeling real good about this place. I'm like, well, why do you say that? So before I really get to ease, do I notice any gang signs in this bar? I'm like, huh. So I rolled a D100 before we had single player mode, and I'm just like, interesting. Roll me a streetwise check. You are picking up that there's Inquisition signs in this. There's people wearing Inquisition stuff.
Right.
Things that are usually associated with that group. And finally, the regular is just so I look over at the bartender. Why are these people here? Is well, they pay. It's you let these people into this bar, full knowing what else goes on in here. Yeah, I watched a bridge get burned that night, and it was a great time. It was a great time.
And all of that stems from you offering the players the option to take ownership of the scene for a moment. Give me a thread. Give me a thread. That's all I need is one thread, and we can pull at that all night. And so especially this is really, really useful. This is one of the core tenets of Daggerheart that I think is honestly just good advice, very generally for a GM. Hold the narrative loosely. In other words, don't be so sold and convinced on one way of getting from point A to point B to the point that effectively you're just railroading your players, the whole table, and the beginning and ending are foregone conclusions. Even when I'm running Neon Inferno, which is a production, right? It is something I put out every week, and it is something that I'm writing that, and I need to prep that, to know kind of where we're going, roughly what my episode count is going to be. Even there, I have a campaign beginning, middle, and end in mind. But the narrative that connects those 3 points, and the midpoint might change drastically depending on how the players interpret the beginning, right? All of that is holding the narrative loosely. It's understanding where we're going, understanding where we're beginning, and this applies to each individual session as well as the campaign as a whole. But as long as you know what that is, everything in the middle, you can just get it loosely interpreted by your party, by you, and it's very collaborative if you do what we're talking about tonight, where it's just a very, very cool way to kind of build things out into more depth than you as a GM have the time or energy or bandwidth while tracking everything else that you naturally track as a GM. This solves for the bandwidth problem. You're now going to distribute processing that onto the other members of your table. And all of you will love the narrative you tell. I guarantee at the end of something like this, because all of you had a hand in writing it and making it what it became, which is very, very cool. But with that said, we are nearing the end of my time. Diamond, did you have any final comments about player world building?
I suppose something else that should be included is let's say your player might be part of some niche subculture, okay? Perhaps, there's a certain way that, it's just so people in, let's use the easy way out here because we all love Night City's #1 MMORPG, Elflines Online. So let's say, you and your Elfline happen to, wear certain perhaps at ElfCon, or whatever convention Elflines has, maybe in Pacifica. I imagine like Pacifica Playground or somewhere else like that. You and your ElfCon are always wearing, like, your Elfline every year always wear specific colors. Like, you wear, red pants, purple shirt, and you all wear, same kind of boots. Like, let your players describe things that might be important, or perhaps maybe, something specific that, like, perhaps your player is part of a smaller gang that gang wears. Like, describe the gang colors. Describe, like, maybe there's a certain way you guys, have your weapons. Maybe there's a certain paint scheme that you guys use on your vehicles as nomads. Like, have them add those features to the world.
Yep.
Because trust me, that adds a lot more notes for you, especially, like, maybe you throw out a plot that, like, someone's wearing your Elfline's colors and just doing some absolutely depraved shit out there, just greeting everything. It's somehow getting 99% on all the greed rolls.
Oh, greed? No, they're needing that shit. They're ninja looting. That's depraved shit.
Oh, yeah.
Greeding and getting lucky, you're a bitter noob if you are getting mad at that person. Needing everything and ninja looting and leaving the party after, that's depraved.
It's, but they're suspiciously getting 99 on every roll.
Hacking does happen, I suppose. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, and for those of you who are lore purists, I will say this as well. Whatever the lore says are the Aldecaldo colors or the Valentino gang colors or the 6th Street uniformer colors. However those are described, the canon matters less than your party getting involved in pretty much all of this.
Like, usually I have associated, like, Aldecaldo colors, like, Aldecaldo Nation being, like, orange and red. But, like, look at the Sightseers. They're blue and pink.
Right.
Or, like, 6th Street's icon, goes from, skull and, I think Skull and Guns over a triangle to, the purple skull with 6 on the forehead.
Right.
Tiger Claws even. Their icon changed over time as well.
Right. So what my point is in saying this is, do not care so much about the canon that you let it stifle you or your players' creativity. Give them something concrete. If their mind is conjured up a different image of what the Maelstrom look like or what the Tiger Claws look like, let them have that image. Let them run with it. That's how I got my interpretation of Rex Royale, because we were forced to interpret him in whatever way we really could before we had a really good description of what he was in the Jumpstart kit. So reclaim some of that. Don't be afraid to, like, run against the narrative. If the narrative that you want to tell says the Tiger Claws were pink and yellow, they wear pink and yellow. Like, that's totally chill. The bottom line is that you're telling a story and that your players and you are all invested in it.
And perhaps maybe you're encountering, like, a, smaller cluster. Like piranhas. I imagine the different shoals are going to have different colors. Depending on,
they probably have
which
some
shoal.
common threads. The way I would interpret piranhas at my table, at least, is they have common threads that connect their stuff. But yeah, they probably have it's almost like when you get into, since Diamond, you and I both share experience in scouting, it's like where you have patrols, right? Yep. Each patrol might develop their own little patch or design or whatever to be like, this is our patrol's patch. But
you also will you all wear the tan and olive, though.
Exactly. So the core uniform stuff is going to look very similar. It's the little things, the accessorizing, that's going to look slightly different depending on the show. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, also perhaps, like, on the matter of 6th Street, different companies are going, different, like, companies or battalions in 6th Street are going to have their own patches as well.
Yes.
Like, yeah, like, there is always room for, like, smaller groups within larger groups.
Mhm.
So I think that's kind of all I got.
Yep.
But I've got a couple questions for this week.
Beautiful.
Actually.
So yeah, let me go ahead and toggle us over to Q&A really quick.
Yeah.
Here.
One of them comes from Fish, and I can't believe he's bringing this back up because like we had this conversation 3 or 4 years. Oh God, that was 4 years ago. Oh.
You and Fish.
That was 4 years.
Because I'm like, you and I haven't known each other for 4 years.
No. This was 4 years ago when we were playing Cyberpunk together.
Oh boy. All right. Well, what's the question?
It's about clothing. It's about clothing.
Okay.
When do blue jeans become generic chic or nomad leathers?
The difference is, in my opinion, how durable they are. Because even in today's world, right? Fashion jeans, or like what pass for like street jeans are normally very thin, right? They don't hold up well under punishment. But if you get like work jeans or work pants that are denim, those are very durable. They're thick. So a lot of that has to do with the thickness and the durability of the material.
See? Yeah, the original discussion was that, like, no matter what, denim is denim. It falls under nomad leathers. Some people are just trying to mimic nomad leathers, which...
Yeah.
We have learned over time that generic chic sometimes mimics other styles as well.
I look at generic chic. Generic chic is what you're shopping for if you shop at Old Navy. If you go to Old Navy or Kohl's, the Gap, like any of these where everything is like, yeah, we sell khakis and plain color shirts. That's generic chic.
Wow.
Every single time. Every single time. Yeah, it's the really plain old, like, wow, I could see a white suburban dad in his 40s wearing that. Generic chic.
Yeah.
Like, that's pretty much what it is.
Like, and also I could see, like, you know, like off the rack suits that definitely, like, you only paid like maybe 500 eds for, maybe 100 eds for.
Yeah.
Usually falling under generic chic. It is definitely not something you wear in the corporate life. Right. So yes, Fish. The blue jeans can be very much divvied up between different groups. And the other question that I got from another player here was, with there being a division of like various districts, and I feel this really actually goes well. How much of an identity split would each district have from like its parent district of the OG map? Now, I imagine our first thought here is South Night City. South Night City used to be a massive district. Like, for anyone that may be new to the game, and you've looked at the core book and you see the Night City Atlas, South Night City used to be massive, and now it's been like split up into 3 different districts.
It started to cut itself up a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Which kind of made sense, though, given that like South Night City near the University District versus the South Night City near the docks versus the South Night City near the edge of, you know, the Glen.
The Glen or the OCZ.
Versus the South Night City just kind of in the middle of all of that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like at the center of all of that. Those are all we know, like on the tin, basically. Those have to be different culturally and the way that they are day to day from one another. So they did something that I think makes sense, especially knowing that the dock or the port of Night City is in South Night City, which is like claims to be a combat zone. So how is that not an exception to the rule? So as far as because I guess it just really depends if we're framing this from the, like, are we talking the way they've broken them up in the Atlas, or are we talking about the way as we trudge on the next 30 or so years to the 2070s in the time of the video game?
It's a reference to the Atlas because, like, Watson and Kabuki, actually split up. Which Kabuki, that is a pet project by a bunch of the Night City Co-Prosperity Sphere. That is a pet project that, of course, the Tiger Claws are involved in. Yeah, it is very much the new Japantown, is what it's trying to be.
I think the biggest thing that you'll notice about a lot of those sub-districts is that they are being defined in ways that allow for there to be nuance in the conversation.
Yep.
That really didn't exist before, because we didn't have things that subdivided outside of like very tiny micro districts like Glitch City, or like there were Woodland Park is another really good example, although did that come out before or after the Atlas? I can't remember.
Woodland Park came out, like, I think before the Atlas.
Okay.
Because Woodland Park is included in the Atlas.
That's right. Yeah. So the bottom line is those micro districts, you didn't need to break off chunks of the city to define them. Even though there's like definitely a level of understanding, I think we all have that they're there, right? But some of that is left open for our interpretation as GMs. What I don't think works is if you have areas like the port that clearly is going to have a higher security level just because of how important the work they do there is than the surrounding district. And very similarly, you're going to encounter within that reclamation zone there, like obviously you need to tell the story of how the Glen and kind of South Night City together both change to become Haywood by the time of the 70s. And that's part of that storytelling, and the story that is being told is representing the early stages of that, which I think South Night City is a good tapestry to kind of tell that on. Similarly, Kabuki is kind of that same thing, right? It's as much a pet project as it is its own cultural thing that is distinct from the majority of the rest of Watson, or the Upper Marina that it kind of sits on the edge of.
Like, even like with Little Europe, I've always painted Little Europe as like, it is a mixture of like, you got your Little Italy in there, you got, your other influences in that area. But of course, there is downtown now.
Right.
There is absolutely a glamorous part of the island. Yeah. And that's what downtown is. And this really secretive group led by Mr. K called the Chamber of Commerce. Mm-hmm. That's been mentioned in the Atlas. There is also, of course, we see Haywood and Santo Domingo break up.
Yep.
We now have North Haywood. We now have Santo. And we've always had the Haywood Industrial Zone. And now we also have the Haywood Docks next to the Haywood Industrial Zone, which makes sense. Makes sense, yeah. It's there that there's going to be private docks.
Yeah. And we kind of got an inkling that something like that existed when we look at Haven't Got a Stitch to Wear.
Yes.
Because we know there's a cut off dry dock that the Rambling Rose is moored in. So, like, we know some of those things exist very naturally. But yeah, I mean, anything where you're going to have some really specific, nuanced things happening there, and there are enough different buildings and people to make that its own thing, I feel as though that subdivision makes sense, because otherwise you need to get very wordy to the point of it being kind of painful to define where those little areas are if you don't do what they've done with the Atlas, is my take.
One of the other things that I also think about when it comes to like the way these spots get divvied up, I think about like, you know, the town that I was living in before I moved down here. It's a very small town, but like the way it got divvied up into quadrants, there was very much where the wealthy lived, where, you know, the middle class working folks lived, and then there was like the industrial area, and then there was where, you know, the college students were living at, and also where the poor were living at. Each part of this little town had even its own, like, it had its own parts and personality to it.
Right, their own watering holes and stuff too. Like where it's like any time where you can say the bars here are different and cater to a different type of people, you've probably at the very least shifted in micro district, if not like wholly in a district. And so if the cultural and societal makeup of a area can be subdivided that way, you've got multiple districts on your hands. So I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that we got some of the clarification on that. I'm really excited to see how much more definition we get to that when the book for 2045 comes out, and we can see some of the more detailed nuances of why those were chosen to be split off the way that they were. Let's see. Should I have my players give me who a few of their neighbors are? I would strongly recommend that they do that. Yeah. If they're brand new to the area, maybe I wouldn't necessarily put it on them to like give me everything about them. Like, because I know I've definitely encountered a lot of players who make a character and they're like, oh yeah, like I just got here. I would, instead of asking them to give you a detail of like who all their neighbors are, I would say one neighbor in your area of your complex stands out to you, why, and see what they come up with. Like, give them a really open-ended ask of like, give me one neighbor, right? And if they want to explain more to you, absolutely let them. But like, part of the key to this working well is that you are giving them an easy ask, right? You are not overburdening them with like what would feel like a monumental task. You're giving them like one little thing at a time that they can then like come up with something to you. So that they're not like feeling as though you're putting them on the hot seat. Because that can be something that this strategy has a risk of running afoul of if you're not really careful about how you ask the question or what kind of a question you address. Let's see. What about astronauts? I hear they drink at the space bar. God damn it, Jake. Oh, my brother, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my god. They drink at the space bar. Yes, the astronauts do. But we won't have a functioning spaceport in Night City until 2060 something, I think. I think that's when NCX finally gets completed. But yeah, we've got another 20 or so years beyond the time we're mostly talking about in the episode today.
Oh goodness. This is a question that's been directed towards me from a friend, but I think it's funny just to mention it here because I don't think they have any idea that I do that. Just like, hey, insert my actual name here. What do you know about Cyberpunk? And I'm just like, oh, buddy. Oh, brother. Oh, God.
What do you know about Cyberpunk? Oh, just a lot.
I have a story.
Some might say a fairly encyclopedic knowledge of most of the game, and definitely its items. You know, the place where Diamond and I keep each other honest at tables we're both playing, or GMing, whichever direction that goes, is I'm usually the guy who knows all the rules, and she's the one who knows all the items. Together, we're a force to be reckoned with.
Honestly, we should do like a game show night of just like quit. Like we bring other GMs we know and just do like a Jeopardy or a Oh God, that would be fun. Actually,
that could be really, really fun.
Oh,
That could be
I
really
like
fun.
that.
We would need to get a neutral host. Maybe we see if we can get Rob at a time where he's not horribly busy to run that. That could be really funny.
I was thinking, like, the Wireheads host, we invite people that we know from the community, like,
Oh, I see. Actually... Yeah, no, I mean, that could be fun too. Either way, I wasn't sure if you envisioned us as competitors in that or not. But yeah, no, if we're hosting it, I already know a couple people that I'd be like, hey, so you want to... Yeah. I'd get Phantom involved for sure. Phantom, if you're watching, you're on notice, buddy. But yeah, no, it's that could be really fun. It'd be really, really fun.
All right, Street Slang Wheel of
Street Slang Wheel of Fortune.
I love that.
Oh my God. See, that's where you need to we would need if we were gonna do that Prepper Jack, we would really need to comb through literature and get some solid phrases that we cook into that. That one require just a little more research, but I'm intrigued by the idea, to say the least.
I would also include things that influence Cyberpunk as well in there. Just sure, you play Cyberpunk 2077, but do you know where this came from?
Yeah. Well, Walrus Man, so fun fact. Something we know exists inside of Night City in the 2040s is literally a battle royale to win chicken dinners for the next year free of charge. But it's literally a full-blown Hunger Games style battle royale where you get a bunch of competitors in. It's 50 enter, 1 leaves, and the winner earns free food for a year, basically. So we kind of have the templating for something like that. That wouldn't even be that hard. Yeah, winner chicken dinner, and they literally say they win, what are said to be chicken dinners for the next year. So definitely a little tongue in cheek, but that is one of those things. It's literally called Combat Zone. But it is 50 enter, 1 leaves. And I think we're going to hear a little more about that in the NC 2045 book when that finally comes out. Just because it is mentioned in the Atlas, very haphazardly. And I'm like, that sounds like I could have some fun with that. That is a campaign waiting to happen, is throwing players into a training center style, styled after the Hunger Games or something like that, and give them a week, get them on their feet, and then after that week is up, the gates open, and it's really just a determination of, okay, who do you trust? Who do you fight? That could be a fun stream. That could be a fun mini campaign to stream. But yeah. That's it. I'll be the best chicken gladiator. Let's fucking go. Hey, if you want into that campaign, you just let me know, bud. I've been dying to have you back at my table one of these days. So if you were down to try something like that, I'll let you know when we get deeper into planning than just talking about it. Absolutely. But yeah.
Oh boy, I'm about to introduce a friend of mine to Cyberpunk Red. Oh boy.
Great choice.
Oh boy.
Make sure they have code Wireheads when they decide to buy all their books.
So yeah, oh boy.
You're about to. So wait, what was there a question tied to the back of that? I thought you were setting up a question.
No, it's just I've been playing 2077 on Xbox and was curious about the TTRPG, and I'm just sitting here I'm trying not to explode.
Oh no, yeah. Cyberpunk Red is a lot of fun. You're gonna know there's some very different things with the way the tabletop works. Unless you're getting in via the Edge Runners mission kit. The Edge Runners mission kit is Cyberpunk Red through and through, with a couple of extra systems added for quick hacking and direct connection net running to someone's neuroport. The weapon types are added on. We get immunoblockers. But you can play a 2070 style game using just the CEMK and the Red Core rulebook. If you have both of these things, you can very much play 2070 Cyberpunk.
And I know they've talked about there being a 2077 book coming. And
we know there's a campaign book. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a campaign book. So, which, I mean, they're also, for anyone that's just like, it's just a campaign. It's like, we have a lot of resources for 2077. You have a video game, you have, because like CDPR published the book, right? Like the setting book?
So the thing we know about anything that deals with anything post 2060, per the explanation we got for this at, I think it was Gen Con 2024. There was a panel where Mike was talking about it, and it's anything after the year 2060 onward is CDPR. So ultimately, Artel Sorin is the one making the product, right? They're making it so it's compatible with Red, does everything, but they have to seek approval from CDPR in order.
Talk about the other book that you have. That's not a Cyberpunk Red book.
Oh, you're talking about the World of Cyberpunk 2077, not the campaign.
That book.
That one is so it's published by Dark Horse. But yes, CDPR are the ones who I believe wrote that book. But it's Dark Horse that published it. So I don't remember who the writing credit is attributed to. I could go over and grab it. But yeah, that's just a straight lore book for the time of the 70s. So if you want to get into like running a 70s style campaign, I'd recommend first getting the CEMK, because that is literally a starter box. It is cheap as hell. I think the cost of that for a physical copy is like 30 bucks, which for a starter box is nice. It's very cheap. And I think the PDF of it is only 15. It's really, really, really low cost. But you have everything in there to learn how to play the game, run net running for quick hacking. You will need the Red Core rulebook to know like the more detailed elements of how a net run is supposed to operate, because there is still that if you start diving into like systems and disabling cameras and stuff like that, like you need to do that. There's still that in the system, but it is not really used for the CEMK's adventure called the Jacket. But yeah, basically if you start with CEMK, the core rulebook, and then I might recommend, just because it has a lot of really useful role tables, especially if you're going to be a runner of the game, get a copy of single player mode. I think if you buy PDFs of these things, your total comes out to something like 55 or 60 bucks, if I'm remembering my math right. It's not bad. And you get 10% off if you use code Wireheads at checkout. As long as you're buying all of this through TellSorianStore.com. I don't remember if single player mode is being sold through that or not, because Drive-Thru-RPG has been predominantly where the PDFs are sold. But if they have it at TellSorianStore.com, you can get 10% off. So, recommend it. But I 2077 Cyberpunk still runs on Red, so get the Red Core rulebook, and then that might actually be kind of fun to then look at where did we come from, because Red is literally just 30 years prior to the video game, and so you can explore the world as it was before that was your exposure to it, and so you can see the way things have upgraded and developed and get a sense for how those all blend together. And if you like systems, they are all compatible. So like, make your own 2040s Night City what you want it to be.
All right. So I think with that, I don't have any other questions on my end.
Beautiful chat. Do we have any questions over there? Let me check my Discord to make sure I'm not missing any questions. I see no questions currently. So I'm going to go with we are probably mostly okay. So chat, you've got one last opportunity to send questions. Otherwise, we're near enough the end time that I will reclaim this time. Going once.
Going twice.
Sold. We get 5 minutes back. All right.
Oh, sick.
Well, for those of you watching this later on YouTube or Spotify, this is again your reminder, if I haven't bludgeoned you over the head with this enough this episode. If you are interested in buying Cyberpunk Red, if we are your first exposure to the broader community, first, welcome. Second, if you need any of the books and are looking to buy them at the probably lowest cost you can at the moment. I don't believe there are any active sales on DriveThruRPG. And if you want physicals, I believe TalsorianStore.com or your friendly local game store are the two places where you can get that. If you do buy through TalsorianStore.com, make sure you use code Wireheads. Get yourself 10% off. It supports the show, which is very, very helpful. It's something we greatly appreciate. Otherwise, though, I will leave it to Diamond to sign us off. Or, well, no, this is my half of the episode. What am I saying?
Yeah, I was about to say, I already signed us off earlier.
I'm confused. So, guys.
I mean, I guess if you missed the first half of the episode and want to come back to my half, just click on the link below.
That's fair. That is true. Thank you. Good shout. Anyway, everyone, for those of you who are watching this on the recording, this is where we sign off. I hope all of you have a wonderful morning, evening, or afternoon, wherever you are in the world. Stay healthy, stay safe, till we see each other again. Peace.
Bye-bye!
Oh, and come watch Neon Inferno on Monday at 6 p.m. Pacific. Okay, thanks. Bye!
Bye-bye.